Okay, hi, Fraser Buchanan here from the Heart Party. Another one of our real concerns is the control grid that is being imposed upon people and being introduced, the surveillance and all of that. In case you haven't noticed, in particular, that they've been rolling stuff out over the last few years. Cameras, surveillance, cameras everywhere. So they're watching everything that you do, and they're going to keep going with that. They have that system currently operating in China, and all these globalists are looking at that going, this is the way to go. This is how we control people. And that's what they're bringing in here in Australia. So they've got the digital ID that they're going to be rolling out this year. It's already been voted on. Our sitting member, Christy McBain, voted in support of it. A great idea. Yes, well, and some people say, well, what's the problem with having a digital ID? You can just scan it and it gives you the access to things. Well, it's not about, well, I've got nothing to hide, they say. You go, well, it's not about having anything to hide. It's about giving them a control mechanism to control you. So that's where they're heading. Once they've got the digital ID in place, then they're going to bring in the central banking digital currency. And that will be every transaction that you make there'll be a third party involved, not just you and the person that you're doing the transaction with, but there'll be the overarching authority, the central banking authority that will approve that transaction and go, well, hang on a minute, you're purchasing fuel. You've already had fuel for the week. You've gone beyond your quota, so you cannot get it. And so you'll be a light will flash and no, sorry, you can't fill up your car. So that'll be it. The control system will be put in place, and everything you do will be at the behest of them giving approval, because they'll phase out cash, and so you won't be able to, unless you come up with alternate means of transacting different currencies, your own bartering systems and things like that, which a lot of people are considering doing and thinking about. But it is bringing in this absolute control grid, these smart meters on your home and all this sort of stuff, which is going to monitor your use and what you're doing, what you buy, what you don't buy, what's in your fridge, what isn't in your fridge, how much power you use, all of this. The climate change narrative is all part of this agenda, introducing these controls. And China, they're doing it. They have situations in China where people have to scan themselves to go through into a particular shop or something, or use a train. And if they sort of don't scan quite 100% and think they've done it, there's a case where one guy thought he'd scanned properly and he got onto a train, and by the time he got to the other end, he'd had the money deducted out of his account, and he was dragged over the coals and had to justify. It took him days and days to justify why it happened, and the reality was it was just an accident, a mistake. And so we're going to be at a point where if you're walking down the pavement or something like that, and you may just drop a little something on the pavement or something, you'll be fined for it, and it'll be drawn out of your account without your knowledge. Any fines that occur if you're speeding down the road or driving a little bit fast, doesn't matter if you have a legitimate excuse or anything. If you're doing 53 k's over the limit, it'll be automatically deducted out of your account. So if you want to have a system like that and live in a system and live in a world where everything that you do is surveilled and controlled and monitored and has to be approved, and if you breach any of their controls, like try and eat a bit of meat when they've told you that you can't eat meat because it's bad for the environment, bad for the carbon emissions, we're phasing out the cattle, all this sort of stuff. If you think that's acceptable and you can live under that guise of absolute control, it's an enslavement system. So rather than having police, they'll just they'll just lock your accounts. They can do it. The laws are already being put in place for them to seize your accounts, access your accounts, freeze your money, and shut you down at any given moment. They can access your phones. They can listen to all your conversations. They can get into encrypted stuff and see what you've been looking at. They can do it. The laws are being gifted to them. Our rights for privacy are being taken away. Freedom of speech are being diminished. They're railroading this stuff through. Now, how are we going to stop this? The only way is not by supporting the red and blue teams, because they're the ones that are bringing this in. it is a big global agenda. It's happening all over the world, but because they're beholden to these globalist masters that dictate the policy for them and fund them and all this sort of stuff, they can't avoid this stuff. They just, well, if they stand up, they lose their ministerial position, get put on the backbench, and get pushed out. And that's what happened to like Gerard Rennick. He was standing up on all this stuff. But if you want change, you got to vote for us. You got to vote for small parties, independents, those who are going to hold them to account. Because if we're not there, they will railroad all this stuff through, which they have been doing, ignorantly railroading it through. Most of the politicians don't even know what they're pushing through, and they just vote. If they cross the floor, as I say, they get exiled. And so the only way to get change is to put us in there. And this is the 11th hour. It needs to happen right now. Otherwise, it's too late. We'll be put into this enslavement system. This is a critical issue, something that we really need to deal with. So we will put the cards on the table, and we won't allow them to railroad this through. We will prevent them. So vote 1, Fraser Buchanan, Heart Party, Eden Monaro, sponsored by Michael O'Neill, Nolla Creek Road, Bellbrook. Cheers.